Can your car dance wildly? Well, Mangill's car can do that. If yours can't, maybe it's time to find out why. A meteor crashed into the river, marking the dazzling entrance of our protagonist, Mangill. Under the astonished gaze of an old man, Mangill, an alien species, quickly adapts to human life and marries a beautiful woman named So-hee. Watching his behavior towards So-hee, you'd think he was utterly smitten. Today, So-hee is attending a middle school reunion and worries that Mangill might have nowhere to go in the evening. She asks him about his plans for the night. To divert the topic, Mangill shouts, "AI, activate night mode," leading them to engage in some unspeakable activities during the day. At the reunion, So-hee's friends are impressed by her seemingly perfect marriage.
그런 놈들은 100% 바람둥이의 가능성이 커.
To which So-hee responds with an awkward sip of water. Stumbling back home, she enters the room to find Mangill's phone ringing. She intends to tell him, but even in his dreams, Mangill is murmuring, "I love you." As So-hee tries to place Mangill's hand back down, she notices a strange mark on his wrist but thinks nothing of it. Suddenly, she remembers something her friend Ju mentioned today. She picks up the phone, only to discover her friend's suspicions were right. The next day, So-hee casually asked Mangill about his plans for Friday. Mangill brushed her off with a vague answer. Realizing she wouldn't get more information, So-hee secretly hired an agent online who specializes in these kinds of investigations. Following the provided address, she entered an office and was greeted by someone with an explosive hairstyle. Although initially skeptical, the certificates on the wall convinced her to trust the agent and share her situation. The agent, clearly experienced, devised a plan and began tailing Mangill. Each morning, Mangill spent 2.5 hours playing baseball, followed by a solo drinking session where he oddly consumed exactly 41 bottles of beer. He then visited a VIP-only club, where attendees received a wrist stamp matching the one So-hee had noticed on his wrist earlier. The agent couldn't enter the club due to its strict VIP policy. After leaving the club, Mangill took a girl in her 20s straight to a hotel. Post-hotel, he hit the gym, tirelessly bench pressing and doing hip thrusts for 2.5 hours. As he was about to leave, he encountered an attractive woman whose attention he captured with his impressive arm strength. Later, the two headed to the riverside, where, under the watchful eyes of bystanders, they performed a wild dance. After their wild dance, they stopped at a gas station, where Mangill discreetly drank $30,000 worth of gasoline. He then headed to a library, where he had arranged to meet So-hee's middle school friend, So-hee. While playing games together, he slipped a note to the bartender when So-hee wasn't looking, instructing him to call later. The agent marveled at how Mangill managed to spend every waking hour flirting with different women. The investigation revealed that Mangill had been married multiple times, with So-hee being his fourth wife. His previous 3 wives had all met untimely ends due to various accidents. Fuming with anger when she got home, So-hee decided to take the initiative. However, she was startled when she found Mangill sleepwalking. She confided in her best friend from middle school, So-hee, about her husband's infidelity. So-hee, with her vast experience, downplayed it, saying all men are the same and not worth the trouble. Unsatisfied with So-hee's advice, So-hee consulted the agent again the next day. The agent discovered through an alien research book that her husband might not be human but a mutant species. However, So-hee was skeptical. When Mangill returned home and found So-hee absent, he poisoned a glass of water. Meanwhile, representatives from various countries were meeting at a secret base in South Korea to discuss the recent surge in alien threats, particularly focusing on dangerous individuals like Mangill. Seeing So-hee's disbelief, the agent showed her his extensive collection of alien research books, but to no avail. Determined, he took So-hee to personally follow Mangill, hoping to reveal the truth. Mangill looked around to make sure no one was watching before drinking directly from the gas pump. Seeing this, So-hee's eyes widened in shock, realizing that everything the agent had told her was true. Back at home, she tried to process the agent's words while pouring herself a glass of water. Unaware that it had been poisoned, Mangill arrived, saw her about to drink, said something casually, and went to his room, startled. So-hee quickly took a sip to calm her nerves but immediately collapsed. In that moment, she recalled the agent's warning about Mangill's previous wives all dying in accidents, but it was too late. Hearing the noise, Mangill rushed out, feigning concern and asking what was wrong.
엄마, 나도 네가 해주는 밥 먹냐고 아주 죽을 뻔했다.
Seeing So-hee unconscious, he called a few henchmen to come and take care of the situation. The doctor soon declared So-hee dead. The insurance company quickly arrived, noting two newly signed policies. CRA, having heard about Mangill's affair with So-hee from So-hee, came over in a rage and started pulling their hair, yelling at them. During the commotion, So-hee suddenly sat up and vomited green liquid. Mangill, shocked, watched as she came back to life. Feigning intense relief, he shed fake tears, though only he knew their falsity. So-hee quickly took CRA with her, deciding to consult the agent on how to deal with Mangill. Meanwhile, Mangill sought advice from an elder of his kind, explaining that the poison had no effect on So-hee. The elder opened a box and handed Mangill a piece of chocolate, instructing him to feed it to So-hee while she slept. Not even a deity could save her after that. As he stepped outside, he was startled by several government agents who suddenly appeared, snapping photos like tourists. After work, Baiju received a text message claiming that her boyfriend, the agent, was cheating on her, providing So-hee's address. She sneaked into the prop room and grabbed a prop gun. Meanwhile, So-hee confided in the agent about her near-death experience and asked for his help. The agent, already prepared, explained that the only way to kill aliens like Mangill was with high-voltage electricity. If that failed, he had a special homemade weapon. The agent quickly rigged So-hee's bathtub with a high-voltage device that would release 100,000 volts at the push of a button. After explaining how to use it, he pulled So-hee into a practice session, ostensibly to ensure she knew what to do, but he used the opportunity to get close to her, even attempting to kiss her until CRA intervened. At that moment, Baiju arrived. When So-hee opened the door, Baiju, waving the prop gun, threatened her. Recognizing Baiju, So-hee tried to greet her, but Baiju, enraged by what she assumed was an affair, started yelling. Hearing Baiju's voice, the agent in the bathroom shrank back. Baiju, finding the bathroom door locked and getting no response, kicked it open to find CRA using the toilet, who then angrily shouted at her to leave. The agent hid in the bathtub, trying to avoid the confrontation. Mangill was back and waiting for the elevator downstairs. Meanwhile, Baiju, feeling awkward, decided to smoke to calm her nerves. She grabbed a nearby lighter and was about to light up when Baiju pressed the button, activating the high-voltage device. The agent, still in the bathtub, received a full blast of 100,000 volts, causing the entire building to flicker with electricity. Seeing the elevator out of order, Mangill began climbing the stairs. 2 seconds later, power was restored. So-hee cautiously opened the bathroom door to find the agent barely conscious. Just as Baiju was about to speak, So-hee interrupted, blaming her for pressing the button. While explaining, she accidentally triggered the device again, delivering another shock to the agent. Seeing Baiju in tears, CRA comforted her, saying they were all accomplices now and needed to figure out how to handle the situation. Just then, Mangill called to say he was almost home. In a panic, they dragged the agent towards the wardrobe but didn't get him fully inside before Mangill walked in. Fortunately, So-hee was at the door to greet him. She embraced Mangill and quickly suggested he take a shower, claiming the water would get cold otherwise. Thinking it was a surprise, Mangill headed to the bathroom. As he happily showered, So-hee hit the switch again. 2.5 minutes later, seeing smoke emerge from the bathroom, she thought it had worked, but when she leaned in to listen, Mangill suddenly opened the door. Surprisingly, he politely greeted CRA and the others. Thinking quickly, CRA wished him a happy birthday, and So-hee chimed in that it was a surprise. Unfazed, Mangill asked So-hee to get him some clothes, and the three improvised a birthday celebration. Noticing Baiju's somber mood, Mangill asked what was wrong. Learning her boyfriend had just died, he awkwardly offered to step outside for a cigarette. Meanwhile, CRA and So-hee spiked his drink with 2 bottles of poison. When Mangill returned, CRA suggested he try the special vintage wine. About to drink, he felt it was unfair to enjoy such a treat alone and proposed a game of rock paper scissors. He won and drank, but nothing happened. Enjoying the taste, he poured another glass. Before they could react, he suggested another round of rock paper scissors, which Baiju won this time. Just as Baiju was about to drink, an odd noise came from another room. Despite their protests, Mangill insisted on checking it out. As Mangill opened the wardrobe door, the agent's head suddenly popped out. Before the agent could say a word, Mangill struck him with a stick, causing him to pass out again. Seeing this, Baiju burst into tears. To avoid exposure, CRA quickly pulled Baiju away, telling her to stay calm. The group then gathered to discuss their next move. Realizing they were all now accomplices, So-hee suggested burying the bodies somewhere, and everyone agreed. As they were about to leave, they encountered Mangill's henchmen. With everyone suspicious of each other, they exited while the henchmen entered. Mangill, experienced in such matters, quickly dug a grave. At So-hee's signal, just as Mangill was climbing out, So-hee struck him with a stick, knocking him to the ground. They hurriedly buried the unconscious Mangill, but as they were leaving, he suddenly resurfaced. So-hee struck him several times with a shovel, but it was ineffective, so they fled in their car. Believing they had finally lost Mangill after a while, they were startled when a hand reached through the sunroof. Luckily, they managed to dislodge him using a sharp turn and he fell off a cliff, seemingly eliminating the threat. Returning to So-hee's house, they found the 4 henchmen unconscious. Left with no choice, they decided to bury them as well. On the way to the burial site, they were stopped by the police. The officer smelled alcohol and asked So-hee to take a breathalyzer test.
후 부세요.
Despite her attempts to deceive the officer, it was clear she had been drinking, leading to everyone being taken to the police station. So-hee believed signing some paperwork would resolve the issue, but the police insisted on verifying the identities of the people in the car, including the 4 henchmen. Panic set in as the trio tried to prevent the officer from discovering the unconscious man. However, the officer managed to get to the car and saw the henchmen awake and waving at him. After a brief questioning, the group thought they were in the clear, but then another officer arrived, reporting that someone with amnesia had been found under a nearby bridge. When the person was brought in, the trio was shocked to see it was the agent, but they pretended not to recognize him. At that moment, Mangill climbed back up, quickly regenerating his strength by drinking a large amount of gasoline. So-hee, turning around, saw Mangill and signaled the others. Panicked, the trio quickly hid. Mangill walked in, intending to make a phone call. He was momentarily startled to see the agent but proceeded to call So-hee. When the phone rang nearby, he followed the sound. So-hee, with no other option, greeted him reluctantly, and they exchanged fake pleasantries. Meanwhile, the elderly man who sold the chocolate to Mangill was captured by the government. After enduring some torture, he initially refused to reveal Mangill's location but soon broke down and confessed. Back at the scene, as the group was about to leave, Mangill stopped pretending and drove towards a cliff. The fall wasn't too high, and they managed to escape. Mangill, with a butcher knife stuck in his head, got up and followed them into a tunnel. Despite his rage, he took a bite out of the knife in frustration before chasing them. Due to the old man's confession, government agents arrived at the scene and were startled to find the agent. The trio hid in the underground passage, thinking they were safe, but Mangill suddenly appeared, causing them to flee. Mangill knocked over a shelf, pinning them down, and almost strangled So-hee before the government agents' voices distracted him. As Mangill stepped outside, he was shot with a tranquilizer dart. But it had little effect. He quickly overpowered the agents, but they managed to hold him long enough for their leader to deliver a powerful attack. Just as Mangill broke free, another agent fired a powerful arrow that struck him. Pinned down, Mangill recited a spell, activating a power surge that repelled everyone. The government leader engaged him in a fierce battle, exchanging heavy blows and sparks. The group found the agent, who retrieved his special weapon from his bag. As the leader struggled, So-hee injected Mangill with the secret weapon. Mangill retaliated, knocking her aside, but the injection took effect, and he slowly collapsed, ending his chaotic reign. With Mangill's demise, the film concludes. Thank you for watching.